Why is cheating arguably a reflection of greater engagement than if the student simply skipped the assessment?
Arguably a reflection of greater engagement than if the students simply skipped the assessment. It's definitely evident of what the motivators are in the classroom, I think.
Sure.
Because if the motivators are points, if you have a points-driven economy, the economy of grades is an idea that Feldman revisits throughout the book. If that's the motivator, is get the points, then obviously that's the motivator. And what's the easiest way to get there? We've talked about that before here. If that's the game, if I can augment my grade by copying something and turning it in, because homework's 25% of the grade, all I have to do is copy and turn it in. That gets me a ton of points. That's easy. And then if there's a way to cheat on the test, why not do that too, if that's the goal?
Because I want to be successful.
Yeah.
Right? If I cheat, I want success somewhere.
Yes.
By any means necessary. Again, learning the structure of how to cheat, what to cheat on, X, Y, and Z. That's a different story for a different time. But cheating versus not cheating, I want to be successful. I want to show something. I want to know this.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit. If I skip the test, I don't care enough to know. I don't care enough to show you.
Right.
I don't care enough to try. Because that, again, takes a different level of effort. That in itself, if you probably put as much effort into trying, as you might have done trying to cheat, trying to communicate with those peers of like, hey, so, when they're not looking or whatever it might, right? All of those types of conversations and times that it takes to get those answers, to write those answers down, that could be transferred, right? Of talk to that same peer. How do you get this problem? I don't understand it.
Right.
What did you do? How do you study? What? Okay. Oh, you watch this YouTuber. Oh, you go to Miss Morgan's tutoring on Mondays. Oh, okay. Okay. So if I'm doing all the same things that you're doing, it might make more sense to me. At least that's something that's different than what I'm doing right now. That's a starting point. But I like what it says in here of kind of that concept of they care enough to try and cheat rather than they either don't care enough or they're not confident enough to show anything in that way.
Right.
And how to grade that, right? Because if we give a straight 0, it is incredibly likely that they know something.
Yeah.
If they've been in your class, if they haven't missed the entire trimester every single day, they've got something. Even if it's just a vocabulary word that they've heard you say 10,000 times and they kind of understand the objective of it, but maybe they don't know how to apply it, that is something in and itself. And so to give them like a straight 0 if you do catch that cheating, right? We're going back to that grading of like, does that reflect what the student knows? No, it doesn't, right? To punify the student that they cheated off of also takes away all of their knowledge that they have learned, that they've gained, that they themselves maybe have figured out. And so it's what to reward, right? So if I give them a 0, if I don't give them the 0, if I give them partial credit, then I'm rewarding that behavior. Not necessarily, right? You don't take that test as the final face value of, okay, well, you cheated off of it, 0 points, or I see what you were doing here. Let me give you at least partial credit. You still failed, but let me give you at least partial credit. No, it's, okay, you cheated. Let's go back. What do you not understand? Here's a roadmap of how to understand it. On Monday, you're going to have a very similar test, not the exact same one, but a very similar one, because you need to show me what you know. You have to show me what you know. That is where my grade is coming from. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I will push you in that way. I will challenge you in that way. You need to meet me halfway. Here's my 50. I'm not going to give you a 0 because you're not a 0. You are more than a 0.
Yeah.
And this is how to be more than what you think you know. So I liked that portion of it too, because I've been in situations where I've had students that found a copy of the test that was printed the day before in the printing room of the teachers, right? They were able to get it.
Sure.
They were able to have, a few students essentially do it, share the answers. Honestly, like, not good job, but great work.
Right.
Right? Like, a little level of deception there. That's not my favorite, but like, way to work as a team. Way to find your leader in that way, of the person that has that skill or that passion or whatever. For those that took that on and did the work and figured it out, good on you. Right? So taking those, not necessarily rewarding those behaviors, but acknowledging like, hey, there is a skill in and with those behaviors that is beneficial, right? Communicating with your peers, delegating tasks, being able to complete complex tasks and figure out, okay, who gets those? What are they reliable, right? Are those individuals that did these problems, are they reliable people for me to be able to take their work from? I loved that. And we had a whole nother test. Okay, no problem. Thank you. No matter what the grade was. I'm going to keep this here as just like a baseline, because I don't know who cheated and who didn't when the entire 7th grade had access to this assessment. So we're going to do Form B, and we're going to do it on Monday.
Yeah.
And I need to see what and I, made sure that assessment was printed right in front of me, collected, put in my own personal safe spot that I knew nobody else had access to where I could assess them. I could have just given everybody a 0 because there were students that were honest and be like, yeah, I got the answers to these questions. I got X, Y, and Z. Thank you for being honest. Okay, this wasn't a fair assessment then. We're going to try again. Great practice. I hope you were able to take this and get some practice from it and, ask some questions if you have them, right? But you will be assessed on this.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that descriptive story of the cheating phenomenon. The cool thing that happened, those students who got a copy of the test, what did they do? They crammed.
Yes,
with
they
the
did.
best study guide you possibly could have, which is the exact questions that are on the test.
Exactly.
They probably accidentally learned a lot of that material to the point that when they got a different version of the test, just with the words or numbers slightly changed so you actually have to prove you can think about it, they probably had a better understanding having crammed for it.
Yep.
There's a lot to learn there. I'll leave that to every listener to go ahead and pick that apart for themselves.
Yeah.
But what didn't happen is what's described. I love Feldman describes this really well. He goes into the philosophy of consequences and the idea of retribution. I get my feelings hurt by a child and I demand retribution. You must be punished. There must be a consequence. You must suffer because you hurt my feelings. You lied to me. Really, you're acting like a big baby. You're mad at a child for actually doing something kind of smart. Is it the ethics you agree with? No.
Sure.
No. Is it good ethics you want them to have for life? No.
Yeah.
We don't want that either.
Exactly.
We want academic integrity, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We could labor that point to death. But your job is to have enough emotional composure to temper that reaction, which is understandably offended.
Sure.
These are children with whom you have a relationship. You want them to respect the sanctity of this house of sacred learning, blah, 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 blah. Okay, great. Now, when you're done feeling whatever you're feeling, let's go back. What do you want your grade to measure? Oh, you want it to measure learning. Learning what? How are you going to measure that? Oh, okay. Well, maybe this giant test, maybe you're mad because you spent so much time making this test that has all these questions that go over all the things. Maybe you could simplify that into one really comprehensive question. Or two, or something that go over the whole unit. And if there's more than that, maybe that unit's too large, and you should have had a summative assessment 3 weeks ago. Okay, great. You don't have to do everything perfectly. Take note of that, move forward, redesign the next unit with that in mind. We'll be back to this next year. That's fine. Move forward. How am I going to retest all these kids? I really want to know, do they understand the big point? Well, what's the big point? How am I going to test them on that? Cool. That's what version B, version C, version D become. Different versions of measuring the same exact thing.
Yes.
With different numbers, different words, different examples. And maybe if you have just a few students who cheated, I've had this happen. You can tell all of your submissions are identical. And I did take statistics in college, and I know that this isn't a coincidence. Okay? That you all chose the exact same words in the exact same order. I don't think that's a coincidence. If it's as simple as like showing me your work on a math problem, like I hope you all show me a very similar process because I taught it to you.
Yes.
Like it should look almost identical to what we wrote on the board 2 weeks ago. However, with other things, like you can tell, a teacher can tell, or at least have a reasonably high suspicion that I think there was some cheating involved. Great. Sit those students down one at a time and ask them to explain their answer to you. And it will become very evident who gets it and who doesn't. And then when they don't, you say, it looks like you actually don't really get this. I want to help you get it. I really want to measure that you get it. Because right now, this would be your grade based on what you actually understand. And I don't think that's what you want. And I understand, like maybe we got to test day and you realize like you didn't do any of your homework or your studying or the classwork, or you were sick. You were out with illness X for 2 weeks, or, you were out of town for a funeral and missed a week of school. These things happen.
Yes.
Life happens. That's why you kind of got to be okay doing your best when you can. And if you get a C, you're not going to die. It's
not a reflection on you.
No.
It's a reflection on what you were able to do within this specified time.
Right.
Period. If you don't like it, let's change it.
Right. And that's okay. And maybe understanding that anxiety that you get before a test, really focusing on what that is and what it means, and then using it during all of the formative work on a regular class day. All right, maybe now I need to be the psychologist and help you with that in a positive way.